Today's Senate Intelligence Russia briefing focused on collusion. But the top Democrat there also said tech companies are finally stepping up to their responsibilities after Russian meddling.
I think the companies are increasingly understanding that their actions need to match their public statements, that they realize how important it is to maintain the integrity of our democratic process.
If that is true, it is certainly a long ways from Mark Zuckerberg's first response to his company's role in spreading fake news after the election.
Personally, I think the idea that fake news on Facebook, of which it's a very small amount of the content, influence the election in any way, I think is a pretty crazy idea.
A pretty crazy idea. Now, Zuckerberg's walked that statement back. The company is now cooperating with investigators. But how's Facebook stepping up to its civic obligations right now? Well, it's again a conduit for fake news, this week spreading falsehoods in the wake of the mass murders in Las Vegas. In fact, even the company's official safety check page for the shooting displayed a false item from alt-right news which incorrectly identified the shooter, describing him as, quote, a Trump-hating liberal. Yes, this week, Facebook promoted fake news with a political agenda in the midst of this emergency when Americans badly needed vetted facts. And Facebook responded by blaming their algorithm. Quote, we're working to fix the issue that allowed this to happen in the first place and deeply regret the confusion this caused, the company said. Google also prominently spread fake news this week about Las Vegas. Look at this false headline about the shooter. I'm showing it to you to fact check it. This is not true, but it falsely claims, quote, Las Vegas shooter reportedly a Democrat associated with anti-Trump army, end quote. Again, that's not true, but that false account of this gunman in the midst of this terrible week spent hours at the top of Google's search results for that man's name. So if Google were a TV channel, that would be the equivalent of running that false story on the screen for hours and hours after the shooting on Monday. Now, of course, we all know Google's not a TV channel. It actually reaches way more people. Now, that false claim came from trolls from 4chan, a notoriously toxic online message board with a vocal far-right contingent, which had spent the night scheming how to pin the shooting on liberals. That, according to reporting in the New York Times. We only know about all that this week because of journalists tracking it down. Now, that's the plot that Google and Facebook said their algorithms couldn't catch. It's the same pattern, though, as the Russian ads. These companies, we know their drill. They boast to investors about their ability to target, to pinpoint, to monetize everything. And then when it comes to their civic responsibility, they act like rookie Luddites who can't handle their own algorithms. And these companies want to be neutral. As we've reported on The Beat, they want to be neutral because it's profitable. But you can't be neutral about lies. You can't be undecided about spreading lies in the middle of the emergency we face this week. You know, in the movie The Social Network, the fictional Mark Zuckerberg character argues sometimes technology reveals truth. He has this line where he says, you don't need a forensics team to get to the bottom of this. He says that to those guys suing him over Facebook. He says, quote, if you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook. Now, that fictional line on this fictional story may apply to some truths. If Facebook really wanted to get to the bottom of this, they'd have gotten to the bottom of this. Here's looking at you, Mark. And that does it for this hour. Also, a programming note, at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, I will be in for Rachel Maddow, if you want to tune in.